a smart car, or anything in between. I'm Spencer Callahan. I'd like to help.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA 21-12671. Offices in Baton Rouge.
WNXX, Jackson, KNXX, Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Hanny time. Hanny time. A daily look at sports from our resident historian. Your sports break during your lunch break. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. Here's Charles Hannegriff.
And we welcome you into the Wednesday edition of Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Hannegriff, Mario Jerez, Taylor Sharp here with you. Scott Rabelais in about 15 minutes. We'll also do first class, second class, and no class, as we always do on Wednesday. Glad to have you with us. We start with LSU's 65-63 loss to Georgia last night in Athens. LSU loses for the 12th consecutive time. Of all of the losses that LSU has incurred so far this season, this one might have been the most exasperating, because with the exception of maybe the Kentucky game, which was way back in the second game of the SEC season, LSU had their best opportunity to win a game. It wasn't by any means pretty. Georgia has been better than LSU this year, but by no means dominant. They were coming off of a very nice win, but it seemed like there was something different from the beginning with LSU. They came out with a lot more intensity. Look, Saturday's game was over 9 minutes in. Actually, it was probably over before that, but at the 9-minute mark, 9.5-minute mark, it was 21-3. I mean, you're 3 touchdowns down at that point. You're finished, and that game was at home. It would have been easy to just figure LSU is going to go in here, and that's they're not going to win a road game anywhere. But something happened last night that actually I'll give Hunt Palmer some credit here. I was listening to his show yesterday after I had finished, and he said I would just like for the other team to miss some shots, for once. And of course he followed it up with, yes, I realize you have to guard, because that's the first thing I'm thinking is teams miss more shots when you guard. Well, Georgia was missing some shots. They especially missed a lot of shots from the free throw line that opened the door for LSU to get in there and steal a win. But the exasperating part of this was not so much like the Kentucky loss. Kentucky has more natural talent than LSU. They have the reigning Player of the Year in Oscar Tshiebwe, and Rupp Arena, even in what for Kentucky is a down year, is a very difficult place to play. Georgia does not have an Oscar Tshiebwe, and Stegman is not by any means an iconic structure, and this is an okay Georgia basketball team. What really stings is that LSU kind of did this to themselves, that this wasn't a deal where look, you can't match the talent on the other side. No, you had a reasonable fighting chance there. Hey, listen, we coached it up. That was just right. No, the coaches did not do a good job at all last night. From 19 turnovers, which is disturbing enough, which kind of negated the advantage they had on the board. They rebounded the ball very well last night, but 19 turnovers, you just looked at them at times, and it's like, how can you run what it is you're running and turn the ball over that much? It was just sloppy basketball at times. And still, Georgia's lack of shooting and lack of free throw shooting kept LSU in the game, along with the edge that LSU had on the boards. And then you get to the end, and you've got a couple of instances here where LSU's got an opportunity to win the ball game. And the first one is where you're down a point and you're going in and you've got the ball, okay? And you end up making a shot that gives you the lead with 11 seconds to go, and that's too much time. It's too much time on the other end, and you don't stop the ball. I mean, there's 11 seconds to go when Williams makes his jumper, and almost with 11 seconds to go, if you stop the ball, that's everything. And Justin Hill went the length of the floor, almost like LSU were traffic cones that he was weaving his way in and out of. You got to know. I mean, there were timeouts called before they made the jumper. They shoot the ball too early, of course, but I'm almost willing to forgive that in the fact that, listen, there's no automatic baskets for this team. It's, you got a bucket, take it, even if you've got too much time on the other end. But you got to stop the ball. I mean, he went right through like LSU was just standing there. Like I said, like they were kind of traffic cones. And how in the timeout they don't say, listen, if we make the shot, you got to stop the ball. If we miss the shot, you got to foul. But even that pales in comparison to the inbounds play after 2 timeouts. What was that? I mean, honestly, what was that? You got no guard in the backcourt. You're trying to throw a lead pass halfway up the floor. I mean, you got 4.4 seconds. There's time to get up the floor and get a shot. Where's your guards? Where's your guard? Georgia plays it. They put nobody on the inbounder. They drop, the extra defender near midcourt, and they force a turnover. And then you don't foul for another 2 seconds, which is, something else. I mean, this is 4 different things that you don't accomplish in the last 15 seconds of the game. You shoot the ball with too much time left on the clock. You don't stop the ball. You don't have an inbounds play ready to go. And when the inbounds play goes kaplooey, you don't foul. That's 4 things in 15 seconds. Matt McMahon said, "This is my fault."
Disappointed. It's my fault. I wish I could have done a better job for him there down the stretch. I thought really executed. KJ made a great play to finish there. Hindsight always 20/20. Call a timeout in that situation. Use your last timeout. But you'll see on the clip we just didn't have great discipline in the gaps on that last drive. KJ made a great play to come over and wall up, but they were able to finish. I'm proud of our guys' fight. I thought we really competed. I thought we competed at a much higher level than we did on Saturday and gave ourselves a chance. The 19 turnovers, and then in the second half, Georgia 12 of 15 from 2-point range. I thought that was really the difference.
They did play harder than on Saturday, but Saturday they came out without a heartbeat for the first 10 minutes, so I don't know. I don't want to throw a parade for that either. Yes, they played harder. They did not play smarter, and I'm sorry. A lot of that is on the sideline. This one, McMahon says, hey, it's my fault. Yes, it is. Because there were certainly some opportunities in the second half.
We were trying to get that ball into KJ. They were doing some switching in Dublin. I thought we got it in there quite a bit. A couple possessions there. Would have liked to have seen him touch it. We thought we had a couple wasted opportunities on a couple 3-on-2 type breaks. Settled for threes. Would have loved to have continued to put pressure on the rim there.
There was one play, in particular where Hannibal's going to the goal and misses basically a finger roll right at the front of the rim. There were some opportunities. And again, Georgia missed enough free throws to give you a chance to get out of this thing. So again, you make 4 mistakes in the last, and you called 2 timeouts, by the way, before the end. There were 2 timeouts. So you got an opportunity to run a play there. And what you ran was awful. You got where's the help in the backcourt? I mean, this is situational basketball. There wasn't 1.2 seconds left, okay, after the layup. There was 4.4 seconds to go. You got time to get the ball up the floor. Now, are you going to need to make a long distance shot? Probably, yeah, but if your guards, I'm sorry, your guards are way the hell back on the other end, and Georgia's not even guarding the inbounder, so you've got a free release here. you don't have to. You don't have to throw that pass. You just don't have to throw that pass. So you make a bad play. You shoot the ball with 11 seconds left on the clock. I mean, you made it. So I don't want to. Hey, they made the shot to go ahead. You always want to do that, I guess. But did you think you could stop Georgia going back the other way? If you think you could stop Georgia going back the other way, that's great. But you didn't. You make the shot, great. You got the lead, and again, Hill's just going back up the court. Disappointing for a lot of different reasons, but then that's been pretty much how the season has gone. So here's the postscript to this. You've got 6 games left in the season, 5 in the regular season and 1 in the tournament, where you're going to go one and done. Your best chance for a win is Saturday against South Carolina. This is the second worst team in the league, and the game is in Baton Rouge. You got a shot, I guess, to win at Ole Miss. They're not much better than you are, but that game's on the road. Vanderbilt, 3 weeks ago, I thought you had a chance to beat Vanderbilt, but since they were completely humiliated by Alabama in that 100-44 game, they've won 4 straight. So Vandy's actually playing pretty good, and that includes a win over Tennessee, a last-second win over Tennessee. So I don't know if maybe you catch them on the right night. They're not invincible, but your best chance for a win is Saturday against South Carolina. They don't win Saturday against South Carolina, your next win might not come until November. So disappointing for LSU, but that's been pretty much the story of this season. And we've still heard nothing new about any of the penalties that may be coming for LSU. Somebody I trust told me that some of the interviews have just been done kind of recently. So some of the additional interviews in that investigation have been done kind of recently. So my thing is this: the NCAA has had a hard time policing with penalties any of the allegations that happened at Arizona, NC State, Auburn, Oklahoma State, and coming up LSU and Kansas. I don't expect that the penalties will be. They've had a hard time making anything stick. They are inept when it comes to doing these investigations. They are so inept that they created this committee called the IARP because this was going to handle the really complex cases, and this case has drawn on for now more than 4 years. So my thing is this is the penalty. This is how the NCAA is punishing it. I'm serious. This is how the NCAA is punishing LSU. They can't come in and say, well, we got to show cause on whatever coaches. I mean, who's getting show causes other than the coaches that actually did jail time out at Arizona? Okay, so you're not going to see – you've seen very little of the show causes, and none of the head coaches have gotten that. We saw one postseason ban for Oklahoma State when they were 50-50 to make the postseason anyway. We saw one postseason self-imposed ban from Auburn when they weren't going to make the postseason. In hindsight, LSU probably should have done that before the season. Said, hey, we won't go to the postseason this year. Guess what? You won't. And the scholarship reductions really don't mean anything anymore because there's no more limits on who you can sign and transfer portal and all of that stuff. So this is the NCAA, in my opinion, this is the NCAA's way of punishing you. We'll just drag our feet until we're good and ready because they'll never comment on an investigation. There's no transparency to it at all. You just have to take the NCAA's word that it's taken this long. And it doesn't take this long. It's been 4 years. Presidential terms have lasted less time than the current investigation into LSU basketball. I mean, they solved the Lufthansa heist from Goodfellas in less time than this. This is the penalty. This is the penalty. The penalty is we'll get around to your case when we're good and ready, and in the meantime, we'll just let this linger over your program. Thanks, guys. Anyway, Take a break. We'll be back here, Scott Rabelais, when we continue. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Big Mike's in Denham Springs. You know, coming up this weekend, you get the Spanish Town After Party on Saturday with DJ K-Jack. They had a great time there this past weekend after the Denham Springs Parade. Live music every weekend at Big Mike's on Thursday. This week, Billy Harris will be on stage at 7 o'clock. They'll also have Swamp Pop Jitterbug lessons on Thursday. Friday, Ernest Scott is on stage. And live ball crawfish every day at Big Mike's coming out at 11 a.m. Monday through Sunday, 7 days a week. Ball shrimp, all you can eat on Monday nights. Daily lunch specials, happy hour from 3 to 7 on weekdays and all day on Sunday. Big Mike's on Aspen in Denham Springs. We're kind of a big deal.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
We get it done with strength, commitment, dedication, grit.
We get it done with passion for our fans
and love for our community. We are
the Tigers.
Get it done.
Let the values of the purple and gold be in your starting lineup this season. And as always, get it done.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off new 2022 Ram 1500s. 2022 Ram 1500 trucks on our lot now with $10,000 off MSRP. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure.
Hey, it's on. Join me on Wednesday, 1 to 3. It's another What If Wednesday, and Chris Demui, former Tiger left-hander, will join us to talk baseball. Hunt Palmer Show, 1 to 3 on Wednesday, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Remember, you can always get the show on demand, 1045ESPN.com. Bring in Scott Rabelais from The Advocate. Rab, how you doing?
Charles, I'm doing very well. Hope you are as well.
All right, tell me about Sunday in Columbia, South Carolina. Big atmosphere, big moment. We knew, and a big basketball team on the other side. We knew LSU was a big underdog going into this thing. And, well, if anybody beats South Carolina, I'll be shocked. But what did you take away? You made the trip. You were there. You saw the whole event, I'm going to call it. So what did you take from it?
Well, to boil it all down, yeah, it was a great atmosphere. I mean, it was like, it was full, 18,000 seat arena, and it was full. It was like a postseason atmosphere, a Final Four kind of atmosphere. Basically, what it boils down to is South Carolina is a more mature program than LSU is, and it showed. Yeah, they've had years of building this. Whatever you think of Tom Staley, whether she's your cup of tea or not, you have to admit that she's built a very good program there, and they've got it rolling. I mean, this is a team that returned almost every key player from last year's national champions. They're deep and they're tall and they're experienced, and the moment was a little big for LSU. It was for this team. Yeah, they hadn't experienced anything like this collectively, and it showed. They got down 18-2 right away, and that's the game was basically over in the first few minutes. So unfortunately for LSU, but they'll learn from it and they'll grow. And the season's not over. Is this a national championship caliber team? I think, as you said, unless your team is named South Carolina, I'm not saying there's anyone's a national championship caliber team this year. But it's definitely a team that can make it to the Final Four if they can learn from this experience and grow from it. And maybe if they put South Carolina in the SEC tournament, maybe show that, hey, that they've narrowed the gap somewhat. But it's going to take some time. And next year they might narrow the gap. When South Carolina comes here, maybe the tables will be turned a little bit. But for right now, it's as Kim Mulkey said, South Carolina and everybody else.
I've said that it's similar to what you just said a few times, and then I take a step back from it, and I think about exactly what I'm saying here, which is that not quite 2 years into her tenure here, she's playing as an undefeated team. I get the light schedule, but they won a bunch of Southeastern Conference games too, and you're this close to being a number one seed in the second year, and we're talking about, well, you know what, they're going to get it together. Get it together, man. This is a career. These 2 years are a career for most coaches. Not all but a few. I mean, all but a handful of coaches. You take a program from – Scott, I saw the pictures of the hotel lobby when they got there on Saturday. The fans waiting for them. I'm not making this up. I think there were more fans in the lobby of that hotel and in the parking lot of that hotel when they got off the bus than they had in the arena for games the last season before Mulkey got here. I'm exaggerating, but not by very much. And we're talking about this like, yeah, she's going to get there. Man, look, 23-1. Are you kidding me? I mean, to go from zero in the program to this in less than 2 years. This is a Hall of Fame coaching job from a Hall of Fame coach.
Well, yesterday we had a press conference to kind of talk about the South Carolina game and preview the Thursday night's game against Ole Miss. And Kim brought Bob Starkey there, her assistant, who was, of course, here, coached under Dale Brown, coached a long time under Sue Gunner, and she brought him back this year when Satia Messer, her top assistant, left to be the head coach at UCF. And he said, I wish I'd coached for her when I was younger because I would have learned so much more. He said, it's just, everything is geared towards excellence. Every minute is important. The attention to detail is so significant. He said, he basically said, I knew she was a great coach before I came here. Now I totally understand what makes her such a great coach now that I'm here and see how she goes about things and how she runs things. And yeah, it's remarkable. I mean, people have to, they got a little, the team and their success being undefeated this late in the season got everybody a little over their skis with the expectations and that sort of thing. I go back to, every year I look at the team and try to figure out, well, how many games are they likely to win? So I thought, looking at the season, well, they might drop one non-conference game. They played Oregon State and Hawaii. Oregon State's decent. I don't know how good LSU is. They've got some tough conference games before this one. I thought, basically, in a nutshell, I thought they'd have 3 or 4 losses by this point, which would be fine. That would be, if they went into that game 20-3 instead of 23-0, that would have been really good. But they were 23-0. and now they just have one loss. Now the key is to keep it from snowballing on you. But because Ole Miss is a good team fighting for a top 4 SEC tournament seed coming in here Thursday night. But yeah, she's done such a remarkable job to this point. And then you have the expectations don't stop here. You know, you have the number 1 recruiting class coming in next season, and some players like Aaliyah Del Rosario who have size like Aaliyah Boston has, and who's leaving. You know, and will give you a chance to be more competitive with the South Carolinas next year. So it's going to be a show that you continue to watch and stay. Can they get all the way to the top? And I think they can.
Since you were at that press conference and you heard Bob Starkey talking about the naming of the court, and look, I'm not going to go off on a long tangent about this. I said what I had to say about it at the very beginning of the controversy and when the vote went down last Friday. But I was very interested to hear what Bob Starkey had to say, which was a version of, listen, this was a good idea, but how it was handled was ridiculous. And I thought he was pretty eloquent in what he said yesterday and how he said it.
He had that statement pretty much loaded up, Charlie, and I don't mind saying that was my question. Someone was going to ask it. I was like, the question was not what got the great response. It was just he had a great response, and Bob is a very thoughtful guy, and he said he said Coach Gunter would be a little embarrassed over what a big deal this would end up being, and she'd be upset that the process was circumvented originally and it wasn't done fairly to put Dale Brown's name on the court. But she'd be very proud to have her name on there, not just because it's her name, but because it represents the players and coaches and the growth of women's basketball. And that will obviously take place next season. I think it'll just be Dale Brown court until then. So, yeah, I mean, it's, as I've written, it's certainly a whole process that has diminished both people. The people who decry the whole Dale Brown being ramrodded onto the court thing and say they skip some of the process. And one of the people who support Dale Brown admitted that. They went around the Hall of Fame committee straight to the board because for years they couldn't get Dale's name on the court. And the pro-Dale people are saying, well, this is just political stuff. They got the governor involved and all that stuff. And it ends up diminishing both people who both need to be celebrated. This, to me, Charles, the right move was to put both their names on the court first, or perhaps not do it at all. Partially because what if Kim Mulkey wins a national championship or two? What are you going to do then? As my brother would say, you going to name a vaccine after her? I mean, what are you going to do? And now you don't leave any stuff in the wiggle room. And overall, and this is this last thing, it's time to pump the brakes on all this naming stuff and putting up statues for people, and come up with some really, really follow the rules and the procedures, and make sure that when next time you do something for somebody, it is something something truly momentous. And I would say, like, the next statue should go for somebody like Pat Henry, when he retires or something like that, for all the national championships he brought LSU, something outside Bernie Moore Track Stadium. But we could talk about that for another day. But it's really gotten a little overheated in a lot of ways, and it needs to slow down.
Statue business, big business these days, Scott.
Oh, sure.
You build statues, you got a lot of work. So. At any rate, how you feel about Baker Mayfield? This came up yesterday as a possibility to the Saints, since I'm throwing ideas out at you. Where are you in Baker Mayfield?
Baker Mayfield. I think he's got some ability if he can show me, like, I guess they felt about Jameis Winston, that he's grown up to a certain degree and that he can lead your franchise. I mean, there's a lot of years and a lot of ability there. So I would think, it's a great, it's worth talking about. It doesn't excite me or, any more than Derek Carr does. Or I'd say, the Derek Carr thing doesn't excite me any more than Baker Mayfield does. So you got to do something, but I'd still rather build young and start with a Hendon Hooker and rebuild the team around that way, because they're getting old and they're getting expensive. And
I think Hooker's older. I think Hendon Hooker's actually older than Baker Mayfield.
Well, that could be. That could be. Yeah.
I'm kidding, but not by a whole loss, by a whole lot. No, he Mayfield. Stop me if you've heard this before. Former number 1 pick, had some success with with his initial team, but was never able to sustain it. Severe immaturity issues. Take a flyer on him. He's Jameis Winston 2.0. Might work out. It doesn't mean it doesn't work out exactly like it did for Jameis, because Jameis got hurt twice, but it's almost the exact same scenario. Nobody ever questioned Jameis Winston's ability. And Baker Mayfield's got some ability. I mean, he's on a playoff team in Cleveland, for crying out loud. I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks try to do that, but he's had severe immaturity issues. So has he gotten over those? I don't think immaturity was the reason that Jameis Winston didn't make it in New Orleans. I think it was more the injuries. So can you get away without that? There's the quarterback market is what you want and what you can get and what you'll settle for. And he probably ends up in the what you'll settle for category. I don't know. Maybe it would turn out better for them. Maybe Baker Mayfield. Look, he had a couple of really good games there down the stretch. Maybe he is ready to turn the corner. I mean, this guy was the number 1 pick not that long ago, but I'm like you. It's kind of okay. See if it works, and if not, maybe next year you'll be in position to draft a quarterback. Saints haven't drafted a quarterback in the first round since Archie Manning, unless you count. Can you come up with the name in the supplemental draft, Rab? I know you know this one.
No, I was going to say Archie Manning.
In the regular draft, the last quarterback they took in the first round was Archie Manning, but they did take a quarterback in the supplemental first round in '83, I believe it was, Dave Wilson from Illinois. They used the number 1 pick in the supplemental draft and brought him in. But I digress. Anyway, Rab, appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week. LSU baseball starting in a couple of days. We'll have that to knock around next week.
Absolutely. Going to go try to catch the first few innings of that game. Got Florida and Massachusetts on Friday night as well. So try to do a doubleheader on Friday. Florida
number 2 in the country, right?
Yes, they're really, really, really good.
All right, got it. Rab, appreciate it. Talk to you soon.
Thanks.
First class, second class, no class. When we come back here, Hanny Time, 104.5, ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Infinity of Baton Rouge wants to buy your vehicle. It's an easy way to get an offer from Infinity of Baton Rouge, whether you're looking to sell your vehicle to them, trade it in for another vehicle, or you just want to find out what your vehicle is worth. It takes less than 15 minutes to get a quote. There is no pressure to buy. When you get into the certified pre-owned program from Infinity of Baton Rouge, you know that vehicle's going through an extensive 167-point inspection to get it back up to code. That will get you qualified for a 6-year unlimited mile warranty, 1 full year of prepaid maintenance. It comes with roadside assistance and, of course, a courtesy car when you bring your vehicle in for maintenance. Listen, we have gone to Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge multiple times to buy vehicles. We'll do so again. The transparency of pricing and the family atmosphere keeps us coming back time and again. Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Saturday, February 25th, 7 p.m. The Bulls Bands and Barrels Tour at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. Edge of your seat excitement with bull riding, barrel racing, ultimate bullfighting. With a live performance by Bailey Zimmerman. With Timothy Wayne. Plus 2-time PBR World Champion Chris Shivers. And Brinson James, the entertainer. Tickets and information at bullsbandsandbarrels.com. Saturday, February 25th. Lamar Dixon Expo Center at 7 p.m. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. The #1 Chevrolet dealer in Louisiana.
Women who suffer from cardiac arrest outside of a hospital are less likely than men to receive life-saving CPR from bystanders. This is especially true for Black and Latino women. Be the one in your family to help change this statistic by taking the American Heart Association's challenge to learn CPR. Be the beat for someone you love. You can make a difference when it matters most. Go to heart.org today to take the CPR challenge and save lives.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR, presented by Pluckers. The latest on the Saints quarterback options. We'll recap LSU Georgia in hoops, and we'll update Zion's injury status. 3 to 6, join us, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Hanny Time. First class.
I want a seat in first class where I was booked and ticketed over a month ago.
Second class.
That no man should be subjected to the indignity of being labeled or treated like a second-class citizen.
And no class.
My life had become like school on Sunday. No class.
I'll tell you what then. Why don't you call me sometime when you have no class?
First class, second class, no class. Brought to you by Supreme Rice. Buy local with Louisiana-based Supreme Rice since 1936.
So I like this story, and I don't follow tennis at anything other than the highest level, and even at that, I might watch a little bit of a Wimbledon U.S. Open final or something like that. So this story, it's got to, really come from out of nowhere to kind of catch my attention. There is a man, and I'm quite certain that he's from Croatia, so I'm quite certain I'm going to butcher this name, but it's Matija Pekotic. I'm doing my best here, okay? But he sells real estate out in California, and he plays tennis. He has been a semi-professional tennis player. He was ranked as high as, never really ranked, what you would consider in the top, 200-300 or whatever. So he sells real estate, but he keeps himself in shape. He's 33 years old, and he tried to get into the Delray Beach Open. Well, what do you got to do if you sell real estate for a living and you're trying to go qualify for the main draw of a tennis tournament? You got to do what? You got to do what everybody else does. You got to take off work. Hey, I need to take off early today. So Mr. Pekotic decided to take off of work a little bit early, and he went and he beat the former world top 10 player Jack Sock. Now, I'll be honest with you. I'd never heard of Jack Sock either. But the part that got to me is this guy who plays tennis kind of on the side a little bit. I mean, he works out every day. He practices 6 days a week, but he's got a full-time job. He shows up at a professional tournament and beats a guy that was once top 10 in the world, okay? And what was his quote after the thing? He says, well, I had to take off work today. Now that I've advanced, I guess I got to take off another day of work. He prepared for it by working out with his boss, who's 70. And he played a practice match, or, was just hitting or whatever, with one of his coworkers who is 59. Now, you tell me, a guy walks out of I don't know who Jack Sock is other than what I just read about him this morning, that he was, former top 10 player in the world, but he's still playing professional tennis, okay? He's ranked 784th in the world now, but he was at one time ranked in the top 10. He was ranked in the top 200 as recently as a few years ago. And this guy walks out of the real estate office, sells a condo down on Wilshire, and then walks into the tennis tournament and beats him in 3 sets. First class, man. That's a story you can tell to everybody. I don't expect he's going to win the tournament. Probably take off of work on Thursday, go out there and get beat. But if you can walk out of a real estate office after, writing down what the closing costs are on the latest thing that you sold and beat a guy that is, ranked in the world, that's first class, man.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Cool story for his coworkers too. Really good look. You could say they were a good scout team.
Yeah, if they have one of those tennis. See, this is right up Jimmy Ott's alley, right? Yeah, Jimmy Ott used to run an adult league tennis team. Okay. And he was the Nick Saban of the adult league tennis teams because he would recruit heavily. Okay, he wanted a stacked deck like little Nicky did. He would have went out and got this guy. Okay, for the bus, he would have went out and got those guys. Second class, good with a chance to be great. New Orleans Pelicans tonight take on the Lakers. It's in Los Angeles. This is the second of 8 out of 9 on the road for the Pels. It's the last game before the All-Star break. Now, right now, the Pels are in 7th place in the Western Conference. They are a half game out of not having to play in the play-in. They are a game and a half from being the last team in the play-in, which means they've got to win an extra game. They are 2 games away from being out of the playoffs altogether, and they are 3.5 games out from being a home team in the first round of the playoffs. That's a pretty big margin. It's 7 games from the number 2 seed Memphis Grizzlies to the 11th seed Portland Trail Blazers or Oklahoma City Thunder, who are both, as of today, out of the playoffs. The Lakers are 2.5 games out of the play-in right now, and they are 4 games behind the Pelicans. 24 games left to play in the regular season. So this feels like a big deal tonight in what do they call it, Bitcoin Center? Or whatever.
Oh, no, that company went under. Remember?
Yeah,
I thought they had
right.
to change the name.
Yeah, what is this, Staples Center again? Or
Let's go with that.
Yeah, okay, whatever they're calling that place now. They're out there, and Mario, what's the latest? I had to check right before we went on. Is LeBron going to play?
So as of now, he's questionable. Darvin Ham did tell the LA Times back on Monday that LeBron James should be available versus New Orleans on Wednesday because, of course.
What else has he got to do tonight? Is Anthony Davis playing?
Oh, he should be.
Yeah. Reggie Miller had a great line the other night. Did you see him? I forgot who they were playing.
And some people got mad at him for that.
Good. I don't care. Reggie Miller was speaking the truth. Davis took a hard fall, hard shot, and Reggie Miller said every time Anthony Davis winces, it's 2 weeks. And well, that's true.
He's a low ball on that one.
Yeah, he really is. This it's one of 82. I get, all the cliche. This just feels like a little bit bigger game than your normal regular season game. We're going to be talking about how bunched up these standings are all the way to the end of the regular season. Denver's opened up a 5-game lead, which with 24 to play seems like a lot. So I'm willing to concede the number 1 seed to the Nuggets. If they just play, if they play 500 basketball, they've got a good shot to still be the number 1 seed. If they play just above that, they should get it. 5-game lead with 24 to play is pretty significant. But everybody else is on the clock here. And the Spurs and the Rockets are out of it. But everybody else is on the clock. Literally every other team in the Western Conference, the other 12, could be anywhere from a home court advantage in the first round of the playoffs all the way to out of the playoffs entirely. This just feels like a big game for that reason. It feels like a big game because it's the Lakers, and the draft pick is still, we've retired our Victor Sounder because it seemed like it was, not really relevant anymore, but that's still in play. We can always bring it back.
21 or older, physically present in Louisiana.
What's our Victor?
We can always bring it back. And the other thing is that this is the last game before they're going to take, about 5 or 6 days off. This lingers with you. It lingers with everybody in the organization, I think. Do you want to go in? You go into the All-Star break feeling good. Hey, listen, we are at worst in the play-in. We've got a good chance to be in the playoffs, but by the time all of the games are played before the All-Star game, if they win this thing. If you lose, you got to deal with this for a few days, and you're still jumbled up, and you're in the middle of what is about to be it will be 6 road games in 7 games when they come back from this game in Los Angeles. They go to Toronto, I think, first game after the break. So it feels like a much bigger game than your normal regular season game for all of those reasons. I hope LeBron has something to do tonight. Frankly, the Pelicans' chances will be a lot better if he is not there.
Yeah, we'll see about C.J. McCollum, too. He's still listed as questionable, but given that you're about to enter the break, I would think he does not play.
Ankle or thumb?
Ankle.
Yeah.
Still the ankle, but we'll see.
All right. No class. We try sometimes to be lighthearted with this. It's somebody who's done something really dumb, but the consequences aren't maybe really serious. We've gotten some obscure stories. The weights in fish one is still one of my favorites, but this one's too serious to not consider as a no class and a cautionary tale in college basketball. New Mexico State fired Greg Heyer. We know Greg Heyer from his time here. He was on Will Wade's staff. They fired him yesterday after New Mexico State had to cancel the remainder of the regular season because of hazing allegations. Now, okay, hazing's pretty serious, but this one got a lot more serious because the way that this was described is this was sexual assault. And I'll spare you all the gory details of it, but basically 3 players held this guy down, took his clothes off, and touched him inappropriately. All right? That's you get the gist. I don't have to give you all of the, like I said, all of the terrible details in this thing. This comes after police were looking to question 3 players on the team after a former New Mexico State forward shot and killed a University of New Mexico student in what was a planned ambush of the player. And the police said, we need to talk to these other players about what happened here. And New Mexico State took off on the bus. This is beyond irresponsible behavior for a head coach to not address some of these things, because this is not the first hazing incident under Greg Heyer. This all happened in less than a year, okay? I can't think of too much worse than one of your players being involved in the death of another student. And I don't, again, the details around that are still coming out. And then this blatant of a hazing incident. When you hear hazing covers a whole lot of ground, okay? Hazing might be, for a rookie in training camp in a professional team to stand up and sing his school fight song because he can't sing, okay? That's fun, kind of. That's a little bit team building, if you will. This is not hazing so much as this is assault. And New Mexico State had to cancel the rest of their schedule because of that, and they fired Greg Heyer, which they should have fired him probably a long time ago. It's kind of beyond no class. So couldn't let this one go. This is as ugly as it gets for a college basketball coach to let all of this happen, and to be apparently aware of it before the last incident happened here, and then to have the mitigating circumstances surrounding it. So no class. Take a break, come back, wrap things up here. Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Mardi Gras weekend coming up. If you're planning to get together, you're cooking, cook with Supreme Rice. Man, you might have a jambalaya going. You might have a gumbo going, some red beans. Maybe you're on a parade route somewhere and you're cooking up. Do it with Supreme Rice. You're going to stretch your food dollar as well as enjoy a delicious product and support our Louisiana farmers down in Southwest Louisiana since the 1930s. All of our Supreme Rice grown, milled, and processed near Crowley, Louisiana. You know what? It's easy to get. All your AG food stores, all your Walmarts and Walmart neighborhood stores, plus your Rouses. Make it Supreme Rice, whether it's the long grain, the medium grain, the brown, or the jasmine. Supreme Rice. For more information and some unique recipes, go to supremerice.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, Hanny Time, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off MSRP on select new 2022 Ford F-150 trucks. $10,000 off plus 0% financing. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Saturday, February 25th, 7 p.m. The Bulls Bands and Barrels Tour at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. Edge of your seat excitement with bull riding, barrel racing, ultimate bullfighting. With a live performance by Bailey Zimmerman. With Timothy Wayne, plus two-time PBR world champion Chris Shivers, and Brinson James, the entertainer. Tickets and information at bullsbandsandbarrels.com. Saturday, February 25th, Lamar Dixon Expo Center at 7 p.m. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet, the #1 Chevrolet dealer in Louisiana.
Me, Jimmy Ott, for Game Time, live from Snow's Seafood and Steak, Airline Highway at Highway 74 in Gonzales. 6 to 8 p.m. Wednesday, got a bunch of guests giving out picks. Game Time on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This February, 104.5 ESPN and Citizens Bank and Trust are here to offer you a holiday rebate to the tune of a $2,000 cash prize. We'll also be selecting a local prize winner to receive $1,000 cash. Sign up now at 1045ESPN.com.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Most anticipated game of the SEC season for me takes place tonight in Knoxville. #1 Alabama goes in. They're a 3-point underdog to Tennessee. Tennessee has lost their last 2 games on buzzer beaters. And when I say buzzer beaters, I'm talking about ball in the air, horn going off, one against Vanderbilt and the other one against Missouri. Missouri shot in particular. Vandy got a good shot. They got a corner 3. Tennessee had opportunities at the free throw line in the last 10 seconds to clinch both of these games and miss the free throws. Vanderbilt gets a corner 3, hits it, and wins. Missouri was even worse because it was about I would say about a 35 to 40-foot shot, kind of a leap and leaner, and it goes. So I still think these are the 2 best teams in the Southeastern Conference, despite those 2 last losses by Tennessee. Got to figure they're going to come out more than a little bit fired up tonight. Alabama, on the other hand, when they are at their best, well, they can beat anybody in the country. They're the number 1 team in the country. It's very hard for me to say that and not just kind of cringe a little bit. But I have been looking forward to this game. That is a 6:00 start on ESPN. I think Tennessee wins this game. It's nothing more than a hunch. You lose 2 games in a fashion like that. The game's going to be in Knoxville. I don't know that Alabama's got a number 1 seed completely locked up. I mean, I don't think that they can lose, 3 games or so and still be a number 1 seed. But I don't think they're going to lose 3 games. But I think Tennessee gets them tonight. Just a thought, not a massive lean or anything like that. Just a little bit of a hunch. I think Tennessee gets them tonight. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer, from Mario Jerez, Taylor Sharp. I'm Charles Henniger saying thank you and good afternoon. This has been Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.